Hey guys, my name is Tanner Usrey, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
When it comes to releasing that debut single on a major label, like I feel like that's a scary place to be, just because you have so much great content, you don't know what to release, right?
That, and especially in this scene that we're in, you don't know how people are going to react to it
Yeah.
because they're so anti-label. But at the same time, I'm like, people are like, "Oh, you sold out," and I'm like, "No, not really.
It's right, it's right.
Still me."
Yeah.
Like so.
So what was that process like for you, kind of figuring out what that debut single was going to be once you signed this deal?
I think we all kind of knew because we had already all listened to the album and stuff. We knew it was going to be give it some time. Just because that was I don't know. I thought that was probably the most radio ready single on the record. And then Ian Cripps, my A&R guy at Atlantic, was like, "Hey, we need to release Last Goodbye." And I was like, "All right, cool," because that's one of that's collectively that's probably one of all of our favorites in the band.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how we just decided it.
I love the dynamics going from the debut to this one. Like it's you give us this like full blown energy, and then now with Last Goodbye, it's like slowed down a little bit. Like for you, like that writing process, like how different is that when you go from one song like that to like something more mellow, more slowed down, more vulnerable?
It's kind of all vulnerable because it's all I write about either real life experience of my life or somebody else, like somebody that I know's life. Um, so yeah, it's not really all that much different.
Yeah.
So
You got to collaborate once again with Beau. So this is a partnership you guys have been doing for some time now. So what is it about Beau that like you keep bringing him into the studio? Like how does he allow you to kind of step out of that comfort zone when you're creating music?
he just has a different thought process on writing. Like he calls it painting with colors. Um, and he's like he just has that outside the box way of thinking. Um, and we would just every song that we've written, it's just been we instantly knew we were gonna cut it. But the Last Goodbye I wrote with Kendall Marvel, and I took one line to him, which is the first one, and we were like, all right, this is what the song needs to be about, and we did it. So
What was that chemistry like with you and Kendall? Like, is it something that you guys come into the studio already ready and start writing, or is it something that you guys have to like kind of get comfortable with each other every time you guys sit down together?
I think the first time it was like we were both fans of each other, so it kind of came easy. And so we wrote actually two songs that day, and it was easy. Like, and I feel like we writing with like-minded people and people that aren't afraid to say the hard things, which is kind of how I do things. Is how how it's worked so far.
Have you always been like this, like ready to be available, like with your music, where it's like being so vulnerable and opening up to on topics that other people may not talk about or not feel comfortable talking about?
Yeah. I've always actually my high school English teacher told me if you can't make them laugh, make them cry.
This goes way back.
Yeah, that always kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
Not that the goal is to make them cry, but like to me it meant write about stuff that's real. Um, and and I feel like music is melancholy sometimes, and it's uh it's kind of how my take on it is.
What is your writing process when you come into like you start writing a new track? Like, do you have like that story theme already in mind? Do you come in with melodies? Does it like change every single time, like depending who you're in the studio with?
I usually start off with just one line, and I just keep on singing. And it comes with melody, and it's I keep on singing that line over and over again until I get another line, and then another line, and another line. It's kind of like putting together a puzzle for me. So
Does that line start with words, or are you a hummer, a scatter? Like, what kind of like artist are you?
usually starts with words and melody. So yeah.
With these songs right now, so far as you're getting ready for this debut album, do you feel like there's like a cohesive theme going on with this record, or are you still kind of trying to figure out the storyline that you're trying to give this new audience?
So I feel like there's a couple different storylines, and some of these songs you're gonna see that uh, there's gonna be lines in there that throw it back to each other and they connect the dots. I've been a real big fan of doing that lately. So yeah, we're trying to figure that out, but there's a couple different storylines going on in the big picture of it.
How did you learn to intertwine music like that?
Uh, so Turnpike Troubadours, I I've I'm a fan of Turnpike Troubadours, and Evan Felker does a great job of doing that, and also the Beatles do a great job of doing that. So I was like, man, I kind of want to do that and figure out how to do that. So whether it's just like it's like part of the same line, it's like, oh, he's used that before. This is a throwback. Like, yeah.
Now you mentioned you are comfortable like being just open to your audience, but at the same time, like, is it easy for you to kind of record those vocals, or do you feel like sometimes those vocal runs or vocals are tough to kind of control throughout throughout the song?
I guess it just depends on the day, you know. We all have our good days and bad days. But usually the studios always kind of come pretty easy to me. And especially with Beau, it's just been he just makes it a lot easier. So he's like, no, that was the one. That's the take. And he's like, shut up, just do it. Like, so.
What would you say has been like one of the biggest challenges that you've had, like working with Beau, or like how he kind of like made you step out completely out of your comfort zone?
It's the being okay, like making me be okay with settling for a take and stuff like that. He's like me sitting back and him letting him control the thing and say that's the one. So yeah.
Now, when you're on, like right now, you're currently on tour. So how does that impact your writing process? Do you try and find time in between stops or during this process to write music, or do you try and like stay away from that while you're on tour just to focus on the tour itself?
I like I said, I kind of write in passing. Um, if I have a line, I try to sit down with it. Because I was saying earlier, I can't really just sit down and write. Um, so I just keep on singing and putting the lines together and finish them later or whatever.
What about when you finally get to perform these songs live? You get to test them out technically with an audience. So how does that kind of impact the way, like now that you're working on this debut album, like do you see songs that you've already maybe finished and now that you've kind of felt them live, like do you see yourself kind of wanting to change them up again?
Not really. I think the songs that we've been playing live that are on the record have been just hitting pretty hard, so, and people are loving them. So I can't wait to actually release the full thing.
What excites you most about this album?
I just want to. I've been sitting on it for so long, and I just want it to be out there, and I want to see what it does, and I want people to listen to it, and I just want to share it.
I always like love to hear like when artists sit on albums or songs or whatever, like I'm always curious, like, what is it about this song or what is it about this album that you're willing to still be sitting on it and still feel like it's like worthy to be released? Like, what is it about this album that you feel this way?
I think I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like I think it's just different than what's been put out lately. Yeah. I know everybody says that, but I truly feel like it's a culmination of like years of honing my sound and our sound as a band, and even as writing, and I just think it's different, and it's I think it's going to do great things. It's some of my favorite collection of the music that I've written so far. So,
would you say like you did a lot of experimentation during this process?
Yeah, I think so. Beau like I said, Beau thinks outside the box. So, we definitely push limits, because like there's some songs that I would have been like, okay, that's an acoustic song, and Beau was like, no, that's a full band song. Like even Last Goodbye, he's like, no, this is a full band song. I was like, all right, cool, yeah, it is a full band song. You're right.
That is a tough decision to make though, like because when you write the music, it's probably just you and your guitar. So like having that kind of open mind, listening to a producer, like I'm sure that wasn't easy in the beginning. Like how did you get comfortable doing that?
I just trusted him, trusted the process. He knew I hired him for a reason. So yeah.
This tour that you're currently on, it looks like the rest of the year is pretty much booked up for you. So how does each show kind of change for you? How does each tour kind of change for you?
I just show up. Kind of at this point, we're on a 46-day run. You know, the crowds change obviously, but I've seen them start. Things are starting to get bigger and bigger, and we're starting to sell more and more tickets, um, and yeah, it's just. Well, I'm not saying that every show's the same, but you know, it's same show, different town, I guess. Um, we'll throw some different stuff in, and depending on the mood, and yeah.
Have you seen yourself kind of evolve as a live performer during this process, and what do you think has been the biggest evolution?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm finding my voice a lot more, and we're finding our sound as a band a lot more, especially after the album. Um Definitely more confident. I've gotten more confident in the past few months live and interacting with the crowd and stuff, and just doing random stuff, not random stuff, but like doing things that engage the crowd more and get the crowd more involved. So
Would you say that you've kind of found yourself in a new vocal range for this record?
definitely, yeah, I definitely listened to a lot of like Rod Stewart and the Faces and the Rolling Stones and Black Crowes, Skinnerd, before doing this album, and definitely shows.
How did that? I mean, how was that process like? Kind of learning to get up on those different ranges.
Just had to try it. I'd say, hey, let's do this cover, and then we'd do it, and I was like, okay, I guess I can do that, and you know, just trying stuff out, not being afraid to experiment with stuff.
Would you say that at the same time, like it, like impacted the writing process, like maybe writing differently, just because now you're thinking of different vocal ranges instead of like the norm that you're used to?
Uh, I think so. I think yeah, definitely. There's definitely some different songs that I wouldn't have done some of the stuff I did on before. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm excited to hear more music from you. I'm definitely looking forward to this debut album. Last Goodbye is out now. Thanks again for hanging out with me. You guys be sure to check out Tanner on tour. There's how many, like 30, 40 dates still left?
On this run, I think there's like
There's a lot.
yeah, there's a lot. I don't even know anymore.
So be sure to check them out on the road. Check out the new singles out now. Thanks for watching here on Front Row Live.